Okay, get out your yellow boxes. We're going to go ahead and finish up boxes 11 through 16. In box 11, we're going to be reviewing factoring binomials, or what we call backwards distributive. So A, we're going to be looking for the greatest common factor that 2 and 8 have. In this case, it's going to be 2, so we're going to divide by 2, divide by 2. We're going to put our 2 outside the parentheses. The plus drops down. And we're going to go ahead and go 2. 2 goes into 2 one time. Where do I have more x's? On the top. How many more do I have? 1. 2 goes into 8 4 times. And that's our answer. What's the common factor for 3 and 12? That's going to be 3. So we're going to divide by 3. Divide by 3. Put 3 outside our parentheses. Our plus drops down. 3 goes into 3 one time. Where do I have more r's? On the top. How many more do I have? 1. 3 goes into 12 4 times. Our common factor for 8 and 6 is going to be 2. And you'll notice that both of our terms have an x. So we're going to take out a 2x, parentheses. Our plus drops down. 2 goes into 8 4 times. Where do I have more x's? Well, I have to remember that x squared is actually x times x. So I have more x's on the top, and I have 1 more on the top. 2 goes into 6 3 times. Where do I have more x's? I don't have more x's, and so I'm going to go ahead and cross those through. I don't write them. So my answer is 2x times parentheses 4x plus 3. Alright, now we're going to go to box 12, and we're going to begin simplifying fractions that have exponents. Again, we're going to simplify the numbers first. So we're going to go to 2 goes into 8 4 times. 4 over 1. Where do I have more x's? I have them on the top. How many more do I have? I have 2. And 4x squared over 1 is the same as 4x squared. Alright. Let's see, we're going to go ahead and simplify 49 and 42. 7 goes into 49 7 times. 7 goes into 42 6 times. Where do I have more a's? I have them on the bottom. I have to remember that this is a times a times a, and this is a times a. So I have more a's on the bottom. How many more do I have? I have 1. Where do I have more b's? I have them on the top. How many more b's do I have on the top? And I have 2. So my answer is 7b squared over 6a. 8 goes into 72 9 times. So I have 9 over 1. Where do I have more a's? I have them on the bottom. And I have 2 more. Where do I have more b's? I don't. So I don't write them. And where do I have more c's? I have them on the top. And I have 3 more. Now we're going to talk about multiplying with exponents. When we multiply with exponents, first of all, we have to check to make sure that our bases are the same. And so in this case, both of my bases are 5, so my base is going to be 5. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add the exponents. So it's going to be 5 to the 5th power. And then, of course, if I wanted to simplify or evaluate that, I would simply do 5 times 5. And then I would do 5 times 5. And that's going to give me 25 times 25, which is 625. And then I would just simply multiply that by 5 one more time. 5 times 5 is 25. Carry your 2. 5 times 2 is 10. Plus 2 is 12. And then it would be 3,125 if I was going to evaluate it. 3,125. I'm going to check. I have bases are the same, so it's going to be an x. And I'm going to go ahead and add the exponents, so it's x to the 7th. Now when I divide, I do the opposite, so I'm going to ask myself, where do I have more negative 2's? I have more negative 2's on the top. How many more do I have? I have 2. So this would be, evaluated would be 4. Where do I have more x's? I have them on the bottom. So how many more do I have? I have 2. Now, the reason that we have the 1 on the top is that if we were to write this out, it would be x times x times x times x over 6x's. And we would just cancel them out. So x goes into x one time, so that's a 1. X goes into x one time, so that's a 1. X goes into x one time, so that's a 1. X goes into x one time, so that's a 1. And that's where our 1 comes from. We also need it up in the numerator so that we know that the x squared is in the denominator. Now we're going to work with negative exponents. When you see a negative exponent, you should think of the negative exponent saying, move me, I'm in the wrong location. So right now, our 3 is in the numerator, and the negative exponent is crying out, move me, I'm in the wrong location. So to make him positively happy, he's going to go down into the denominator. All right, let's look at this one. This is 4 to the negative 2. The negative 2 is crying out, move me, I'm in the wrong location. So to make him positively happy, we're going to move him up into the numerator. All right, now let's practice writing positive exponents as negative exponents. So right now, the 2 is positively happy. In order to upset him, we're going to move him up into the numerator, and that's going to make him negative. Right now, the 1 is positively happy. To upset him and make him negative, we're going to put him up into the numerator. 5 to the positive 2, well, right now he's in the numerator. We're going to upset him. We're going to need to put him down into the denominator. 2 cubed, well, right now the 3 is positive, so if we're going to upset him, we're going to put him down into the denominator. Scientific notation is box number 15, and this is the way that we take very, very large numbers and write them as short as we can. So the exponent is the key here because he's going to tell us how many places we're going to move the decimal. So when we're taking a number from scientific notation to standard form, we find the decimal, and then if it is a positive exponent, we're going to move him to the right. 1, 2, 3, and we're going to add in our zeros, so this would be 2,000. We're going to move this positive, we're going to find the decimal, make it large and obnoxious, and now we're going to move it 4 places. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to have 1, 5, 6, 0, 0. Now if it's a negative exponent, we move it to the left. So we find the exponent, we make it large and obnoxious, and we move it 2 places to the left, adding in our 0 where we need it. So this number is going to be 0.01063. Now we're going to practice moving from standard to scientific notation. And this is where you're going to use your magic pencil. Because our first digit, our first answer, part of our answer, has to be a number that's between 1 and 999. So we have to decide where we want to put that decimal. So we have 2460, and we want it to be between $1 and $9.99. So we're going to put a large, big, obnoxious decimal, and we're going to do times 10. And now we have to figure out which direction we move it to get it back to the original number that we started with. So we're actually going to need to move it 1, 2, 3 places. So our answer is going to be 2.460 times 10 cubed. And since the 0 is the last digit, we don't have to write it. So our answer is going to be actually now 2.46 times 10 cubed. So we're going to look at the next one. The next one, we need to put the decimal right here. So we're going to write it 3.06 times 10 to the. Now our answer, we have to get the decimal back to where it was. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's going to be to the negative 4. Okay, we're going to take again, and we're going to put in the decimal 115. Well, we really need the decimal to be here, times 10. So we're going to move it back 1, so it's going to be to the negative 1. Make sure you have the decimal large and obnoxious in each one so that I can see it. This is 2046 times 10 to the something. So we're going to need to put the decimal there. And we're going to need to move it 1, 2, 3 to get back to our original number. So it's going to be 10 cubed. This number is going to be 2006 times 10 to something. We want the decimal to be right there. So really the decimal's here. We have to move it back 2. So it's going to be 10 to the negative 2. The last box that we have is working with negative fractions. And this is going to be box 16. We're going to add a line and change the sign. We're going to notice that both the fractions are negative. That means our answer is going to be negative. And then we're going to simply add those two fractions together. So we're going to write them on top of each other, find a common denominator, add them together. So that's going to be 3 3/4, but it's negative 3 3/4. Now we're going to do again, add a line, change the sign. Now we're going to notice that our answer is definitely going to be negative. So now we're going to go ahead and subtract them. 4 1/2 minus 3 1/3. Common denominator is 6 times 2 times 2 gives us 2/6 times 3 gives us 3/6. So we're going to subtract 1/6 and 1, so it'll be negative 1 1/6.